What if the way you sleep tonight is quietly working against your brain? Not dramatically, not with pain, not with any warning at all, just silently, hour after hour, while you rest, while you think you are safe, your body may be under a kind of stress that most people over 60 never hear about from their doctors. I know that is a difficult thing to hear, and I want to be clear right from the start. I am not here to frighten you. I am here because the research on this topic is real, it is well documented, and it almost never gets discussed in plain language. By the time you finish this video, you are going to understand something about your sleeping position, your cardiovascular system, and your brain that could genuinely change the way you approach one of the most important parts of your day, the part where you rest. My name is Dr. Jack Stone, and welcome back to the channel. If you are new here, this is where we take complex medical science and turn it into information you can actually use. Before we dive in, if at any point in this video you learn something new, something that surprises you or makes you think differently, tap that like button. It helps this video reach more people who need this information. Now, let us talk about sleep and what it might be doing to your brain. Chapter 1. Why sleeping position matters more after 60. Here is something worth thinking about. You spend roughly 1/3 of your entire life asleep. For most people, that is somewhere between 25 and 30 years of their life spent lying down in one position or another. And during all of that time, gravity is acting on your body differently than it does when you are standing or sitting. Your blood is moving through your vessels at different angles, under different pressures, with different dynamics. Most people think about their mattress. They think about whether their pillow is comfortable. They think about whether they will wake up with a stiff neck. But very few people think about what their sleeping position is actually doing to their cardiovascular system and their brain. And here is why this matters more after the age of 60 specifically. As we age, several things change in the cardiovascular system. Blood vessels become less elastic, blood pressure becomes harder to regulate, the risk of blood clots increases, and the brain becomes more vulnerable to the effects of reduced blood flow. According to the American Stroke Association, the risk of stroke more than doubles every decade after the age of 55. That is not meant to alarm you. That is simply the reality of how the cardiovascular system changes over time, and it is exactly why the habits that support healthy blood flow during sleep become increasingly important as we get older. The position you sleep in affects how efficiently your heart pumps blood. It affects how blood returns from your lower body back to your heart. It affects the pressure inside the vessels that supply your brain. And according to research published in journals including the Journal of Neuroscience and Stroke, it even affects how well your brain clears waste products during the night. These are not small effects, and they are not theoretical. They are measurable, documented, and relevant to anyone over the age of 60 who wants to protect their long-term brain health. So let us look at what the research actually shows. Chapter 2. The positions that may increase your risk. Let us start with the position that the majority of people default to without ever questioning it. Sleeping on your back. On the surface, sleeping on your back sounds reasonable. Your spine is relatively neutral. Your neck is not twisted. It seems like a safe, neutral choice. And for many younger, healthy people, it is perfectly fine. But for adults over 60, particularly those with any degree of cardiovascular risk, sleeping on your back can create a problem that happens slowly and silently every single night. Here is what is happening inside your body when you lie flat on your back. There is a large vein running along the right side of your spine called the inferior vena cava. This vessel is responsible for returning blood from your lower body, your legs, your abdomen, your pelvis, back up to your heart. It is one of the most important vessels in your body for maintaining healthy circulation. When you lie on your back, the weight of your internal organs can compress this vein. That compression reduces what cardiologists call venous return, the efficiency with which blood travels back to the heart. When venous return is reduced, your heart has to work harder to maintain circulation. Blood can pool in the lower extremities, and over time, this increased strain on the cardiovascular system during the hours you are supposed to be resting and recovering can have meaningful consequences. Research published in the journal Chest has also connected back sleeping with a higher frequency of sleep-disordered breathing events, including apnea, brief interruptions in breathing during sleep. Each of these interruptions causes a temporary drop in blood oxygen levels and a spike in blood pressure. For someone over 60 with already elevated cardiovascular risk, repeated nightly spikes in blood pressure during sleep are not trivial. The American Academy of Sleep Medicine notes that obstructive sleep apnea is significantly associated with increased risk of hypertension, heart disease, and stroke, and that back sleeping tends to worsen apnea severity compared to side sleeping. Now let us talk about the other common position that research suggests may deserve more caution than most people realize. Sleeping on your right side. This one surprises people. Right side sleeping feels natural, comfortable, and seems harmless. And again, for many people, it is not a serious problem. But there are specific reasons why, from a cardiovascular standpoint, left side sleeping tends to be the more protective choice. When you lie on your right side, the inferior vena cava, that large vessel we just discussed, is positioned in a way where it can still experience some degree of compression. Additionally, for people who experience acid reflux, right side sleeping tends to worsen symptoms because of the anatomical position of the stomach. And as we will discuss shortly, chronic acid reflux is more connected to cardiovascular health than most people realize. The position that research most consistently associates with cardiovascular and neurological benefit is sleeping on the left side. And the reasons behind this are worth understanding in detail. Chapter 3. What the research says about left side sleeping. Your heart is not positioned perfectly in the center of your chest. Most people assume it is. But anatomically, the heart sits slightly to the left side of the chest, with the apex, the lower pointed end, angled toward the left. When you sleep on your left side, gravity works with the heart rather than against it. The heart receives a subtle mechanical advantage in its pumping function. Over the course of 7 or 8 hours of sleep, this reduced workload is meaningful, especially for a heart that has been pumping continuously for 6, 7, or 8 decades. But the cardiovascular benefits of left-side sleeping go beyond the heart itself. As we discussed, the inferior vena cava runs along the right side of the spine. When you sleep on your left side, you take pressure off this vessel entirely. Venous return improves. Blood flows more efficiently from the lower body back to the heart. Circulation throughout the body is better supported during the hours of sleep. This matters for stroke risk in a very direct way. One of the primary contributors to stroke is a condition called blood stasis. Blood that is not moving efficiently. Blood that is pooling or flowing too slowly. Back in the 1800s, a physician named Rudolf Virchow described the 3 main factors that contribute to dangerous blood clot formation. We still call these Virchow's triad today. The 3 factors are stasis of blood flow, damage to blood vessel walls, and blood that is more prone to clotting than normal. When you optimize venous return through left-side sleeping, you are directly addressing that first factor. You are reducing blood stasis. You are keeping blood moving more efficiently through the cardiovascular system, even during rest. And the research on this is not limited to cardiovascular physiology. A study published in the Journal of Neuroscience examined what is called the glymphatic system, your brain's built-in waste clearance mechanism. During sleep, cerebrospinal fluid flows through spaces between brain cells, flushing out metabolic waste products including a protein called beta amyloid, which research has associated with Alzheimer's disease and cognitive decline. The findings of this study suggested that this glymphatic clearance process appears to function most efficiently during side sleeping, and that left side sleeping in particular may offer advantages in terms of the direction and efficiency of fluid flow through the brain. Think about what that means. While you sleep, your brain is cleaning itself, and the position you sleep in may affect how well that cleaning process works. This is remarkable science, and most people have never heard of it. There is one more connection worth making here, one that surprises many people when they first hear it. Acid reflux and stroke risk. Studies have shown that left-side sleeping significantly reduces acid reflux symptoms compared to right-side or back sleeping. The anatomical reason is straightforward. The junction between the esophagus and the stomach is positioned above the level of stomach acid when you lie on your left side, making it harder for acid to travel upward. But why does this matter for stroke risk? Chronic acid reflux causes repeated inflammation in the esophagus, and chronic inflammation anywhere in the body contributes to systemic inflammation, which is one of the key drivers of atherosclerosis, the buildup of plaque inside the arteries. Atherosclerosis is the underlying cause of the majority of heart attacks and ischemic strokes. So by reducing acid reflux through sleep position, you may also be reducing a source of chronic vascular inflammation over time. The connections between these systems run deeper than most people realize. Chapter 4. Blood pressure, nocturnal dipping, and your brain at night. There is a concept in cardiology that does not get nearly enough attention outside of medical circles. It is called nocturnal dipping. Under normal, healthy circumstances, blood pressure does not stay constant throughout the day. It rises during periods of activity and stress, and it naturally decreases during sleep, typically by somewhere between 10 and 20%. This nighttime dip in blood pressure is not just a normal variation. it appears to be genuinely protective for the cardiovascular system and the brain. Research published in the journal Hypertension and supported by findings from the American Heart Association has shown that people whose blood pressure does not dip adequately during sleep, known medically as non-dippers, face a significantly elevated risk of cardiovascular events, including stroke, compared to people whose blood pressure follows the normal dipping pattern. And here is where sleeping position connects directly to this. When venous return is optimized, when the heart is working efficiently, when circulation is flowing smoothly, blood pressure during sleep tends to be lower and more stable. When venous return is compromised, when the heart is working harder than it needs to, blood pressure during sleep may remain elevated. This does not mean that sleeping position alone determines your nocturnal blood pressure. Factors like sleep apnea, stress, diet, and medication all play important roles. But sleeping position is a modifiable factor, one that costs nothing to change and that research suggests can support healthier cardiovascular function during sleep. For adults over 60 who already have elevated blood pressure or who are managing hypertension, this is not a small consideration. It is an additional layer of support for the cardiovascular system during the hours when the body is supposed to be recovering and healing. There is also a specific window of time that neurologists pay close attention to when it comes to stroke risk: the early morning hours, roughly between 6 a.m. and noon. Research has consistently shown that strokes occur more frequently during this window than at any other time of day. The reasons involve the natural morning rise in blood pressure, increased blood clotting activity in the early morning hours, and the transition from sleep to wakefulness. Anything that supports healthier cardiovascular function throughout the night, including sleep position, may contribute to how your body enters that higher risk morning window. This is another reason why what happens during sleep is worth taking seriously. Chapter 5. What you can do starting tonight. I want to be very clear about something before we talk about practical steps. Sleeping on your left side is not a cure for stroke. It is not a replacement for medication your doctor has prescribed. It is not a substitute for managing blood pressure, maintaining a healthy diet, staying physically active, or addressing other cardiovascular risk factors. What it is an additional, accessible, completely free tool that research suggests can support your cardiovascular and neurological health during sleep. And when we are talking about the long-term health of your heart and your brain, every reasonable layer of protection is worth considering. So here is what the research and clinical experience suggest for making this change in a practical, sustainable way. First, understand that you do not need to stay rigidly on your left side for 8 hours straight. That is not realistic, and it is not what the research requires. Your body naturally shifts positions during sleep, and that is healthy and normal. The goal is to make left side sleeping your default starting position, and to return to it when you are aware of your position during the night. Second, if you find that lying on your left side creates discomfort in your shoulder or hip, try placing a pillow between your knees. This small adjustment aligns the spine more naturally, reduces pressure on the joints, and makes side sleeping significantly more comfortable for most people. Many individuals who believed they could not sleep on their side find that a pillow between the knees changes the experience entirely. Third, placing a pillow or a rolled blanket behind your back can help prevent you from unconsciously rolling onto your back during the night. This acts as a gentle physical barrier and becomes less necessary as the habit becomes more established. Fourth, give yourself time. Changing a long-standing sleep habit is not something that happens overnight. Research on habit formation suggests that consistent repetition over several weeks is typically needed for a new behavior to begin feeling natural. If left side sleeping feels awkward at first, that is expected. Stick with it. Fifth, if you have specific medical conditions that might affect which sleeping position is appropriate for you, severe heart failure, shoulder injuries, or other conditions, please discuss sleeping position with your doctor before making changes. The information in this video reflects general research findings and is not a substitute for individualized medical advice. One final thought. We spend roughly a third of our lives asleep. For most people, that is decades of time spent in a position that is either supporting or placing unnecessary strain on the heart, the blood vessels, and the brain. The research on sleeping position and cardiovascular health is not conclusive, in the sense that no single study can tell you exactly what your individual risk reduction would be. But the body of evidence pointing toward the benefits of left-side sleeping for circulation, venous return, glymphatic brain clearance, acid reflux reduction, and blood pressure stability is consistent and meaningful. This is one of those rare health recommendations where the potential benefit is real and the cost is zero. If this video gave you something new to think about, something you did not know before you started watching, please share it with someone you care about. Send it to a parent, a sibling, a friend, a partner, because this is exactly the kind of information that tends to get overlooked in a standard doctor's appointment, but that can genuinely make a difference over time. I am Dr. Jack Stone. Take care of your heart, take care of your brain, and tonight, try rolling to your left side. If you found this helpful, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and leave me a comment below telling me what position you usually sleep in. I read every comment, and your questions help shape the topics we cover next. Stay well.